Good evening, everybody. I am very sorry for the late hour. Part of it is my sort of a lack of organization on my part. I've been extremely tired this week. I was possibly even just thinking of canceling the stream, but I really do not like doing that. Um, However, I did also so I slept in a little bit, or well, had a nap. It's probably more accurate. But on top of that, I actually had a bunch of technical problems. So this might be affecting my ability to do a few other things down the road. I was actually really worried when I saw some of them. But with that in mind, I mean, I find the worst thing I can do is delay the start with apologizing. But for those of you who are accustomed to sort of a 7-ish start time, clearly we are more than a few hours late. Well, 2 hours late. But I'm looking forward to Hollow Knight. I am very groggy, so I think I was at God Home at the end of the stream, and I think I was gonna like run straight into it. But I actually had a different idea here, and the thoughts aren't as fresh as they used to be. But I don't think it would be a bad time for me to think about some of this stuff. So I'm also drinking some tea, hopefully to wake myself up a little bit. So where am I here? This was a mistake. Oh, maybe not. Alright, well apparently I'm going to do some exploration first. Basement? Cured Charlie! Good to see you. How you doing? Okay, so it looks like this. I'm assuming these little dots here, it's a little bit like, remember the blue altar where I didn't recognize the dots? I'm wondering if there's something going on here. The problem is that it's not so obvious to me. So like the blue altar was pretty clear that I should probably have those blue shields. I don't necessarily think that may be true for this one, because I could just like equip one of the charms. I don't know. I'll think about that a little bit. Doing pretty well. Kind of tired, but from streaming, but good. How about yourself? Very tired, not from streaming, but I'm. You know, this was a tough week. I think anyway, for me. But I don't know. Like I'd like to. Okay, so I found. This is what I was working on before. I'll talk about that. I'll talk about that door a little bit and sort of how I'm going to be operating in the level tonight. So, but yeah, I mean, I like Hollow Knight. I definitely like streaming, and so I try not to let. So I definitely feel rather bad when I have a later stream. In one sense, I do feel okay about it in a very narrow way, in the sense that I know there are some people who used to like watching me back in when I was in Vancouver, and being able to have at least one day where it's possible that people who are used to watching me at those times will be able to watch the stream again. I think that's a nice little bonus, but it's maybe not intentional. I think consistency is usually a little bit better. What were you streaming though? Anyway, I'm going to talk a little bit about what's on deck for the next little bit. So when I take a look at this symbol, I couldn't really see any of the signs before. I'm gonna. Hey, Kite! I am so happy to see you. I was gonna get my backside kicked, but I'm actually feeling really tired, so I'm gonna do a little bit of cleanup here. So I think it looks like we got a couple streamers in the chat here. I need to take a minute. I'm actually probably going to do this twice because it has been so long since I've been able to do this. Some of you may notice that Kite's name appears in the chat a little bit. Oh, that's really neat. I never quite got roped into Binding of Isaac, but I've definitely, like, I used to watch a lot of Lethal Frag back when I was first on Twitch, and he was all about Isaac for the longest time. So I gained a new appreciation for that game through watching other people. So this is the funny thing. I actually watch a lot less Twitch than I did when I started. And I feel like I gained a better appreciation of certain games through watching people play them. But on the other hand, it's like, this is the problem. I don't think I'm quite a hypocrite on this, but I'm something, in the sense that I'm willing to broadcast and put on stuff for you all to watch, but I'm not necessarily someone who would really watch all that much in terms of broadcasts myself. And part of this is just a busyness thing, you know. I mean, Kite can tell you, I usually will stop by his chat. I'll say a few very stupid things and then run off until the next time I see him online, and I'll just say a couple of stupid things. And, you know, I've not really been able to engage with Kite at length the way that I used to, you know, back when I was streaming in Vancouver. Of course, I also have a job now. I mean, back then I was in grad school, which is not, you know, it's not a small amount of work, especially, you know, at that level. But my days definitely had a little bit less structure to them than, say, you know, a little more structure to them than when I first met him. But before he gets back to the lab and starts scheming, so what I did want to say though is we've got Kite in the channel here. He is a very, very talented streamer, incredibly friendly. One of the people, he hasn't done a lot of co-op streams recently, but he is somebody who I think has got a real gift for both engagement with his viewers as well as his audience. And I say this because I feel a little bit better. I'm still not going to say the name, but I actually had a case where I tried to do a co-cast with someone and I found it very difficult to do. Like, I don't think the chemistry quite worked, and I don't think the stream was all that good. And you know, it's one of these. It's a compatibility thing, right? It's not always going to work with everyone. But I actually got to see Kite, and again, this is a really long time ago, so he's done plenty of co-casts with lots of different people over time. So there's really no way of disentangling it. But he did it, and it was a delight to watch, and he made it seem easy. And I gained this real appreciation for his ability to sort of appreciate people for who they are and to be able to bring out the best in them by, you know, just simply because he was able to do something that I wasn't able to do to myself, to basically be able to do something that I as a broadcaster had a really significant challenge with. So, you know, that's, I think, one of the best things that I can say about him. He's been doing a lot of really interesting games lately. He's been playing Carrion lately, and what I think is so interesting about Carrion is Kite playing Carrion is that he's a really nice guy. So he's doing not exactly a pacifist run of Carrion, but he has this very strict sense of justice in the game, where he, to put it in his terms, he will only kill the deserving, or namely people who, you know, commit some kind of act of violence against the creature first. Which I think, especially given the way that the game works, has all sorts of very interesting ethical complications. But it's actually a lot of fun to hang out with Kite. It's been fun to watch him play some games, and I really don't get a chance to shout him out as often as I do. But I wanted to take the time to say that, even if it's just at the top of the cast, because he is really somebody I think you'll get a lot out of watching. Okay, sorry, I said I was going to do this. So if I shift tab, I can get a mouse. So this thing's missing. I didn't get to see the other symbols. So my guess here is that this is telling you, you know, bosses that you know, you need to beat before you do it. So it's possible. Again, I don't know the rules of Godhome, but it seems clear to me there is at least one person that we have not taken out yet. And of course, we're pursuing our elusive... Where's the completion? So we're at 103%. In addition, I need to consider the encountered and completed numbers here. So I'm ultimately looking for three more creatures, which I kind of interpreted as potentially 3 other bosses. But I know for a fact that there is at least one more boss, and it's a one more boss before I can unlock this part. So what I want to do as a start, I want to go back to those secret areas I unlocked, or at least as much as I can remember, And I want to see if there is something else going on. I don't know if there'd be a secret in a secret. I feel like I encountered that in the beehive, so that would be really mean if they did that. But I do want to take some time to see if I can find. I do want to take some time and see if I can maybe find another spot, because I don't have the grub map anymore. Oh well, okay. This is super telling. There's something at the end here. So I guess now I gotta think about how I get back to Deep Nest. All the streamers you enjoy watching... Oh yeah, actually I should also say too, for Carrion, it is also one of these sort of Metroid-style games, or Metroidvania as people call them. So I suspect there's probably some overlap. Cure Charlie says, all of the streamers you enjoy watching are all across the pond from you, so you rarely get to catch them. Luckily, you're on Easter break from college, and so you have an excuse to stay up until stupid hours. Yeah, I mean, the challenge for me has been my staying up until stupid hours does not necessarily correlate with my need to stay up at stupid hours. I definitely have run into some trouble getting a proper night's sleep the last little while. Oh, this is intriguing. I don't know if I need to actually take these things out, but... yeah, I mean, one of the reasons why I'm sort of late tonight is struggling with my ability to sleep. Okay, wasn't quite where I wanted to go, but let's go to... Oh, no, I'm way off. I think I want to try and get back to that tram. Oh yeah, I forgot. I forgot that I bought pins that I'm not using. Hey Olaf, how you doing? Oh, I forgot. These guys are really hit really hard. And I think I've already taken them out, so I'm... Well, I'm obviously late in getting started, Olaf, but I'm... other than that, it's... I'm managing. You must know Kite, Olaf. I know Kite was on a team with Ariella and myself. I'm sure if you haven't encountered each other, you two are loyal and friendly participants in communities that I am sort of a part of. Where is the, oh god, what is that? Is it like change? I think change.org. Where's, whatever the name of that sort of like petition site is. Where's the change.org petition to get Ariella back online? Oops. Come to think of it, Olaf, did you know that in Kite's last stream we actually established his status as a supervillain? Ups and downs, but you're okay? I'm sorry to hear about the downs. Definitely appreciate the downs, given my own week. But I am also glad that you have a much better attitude towards me. This is actually... So this is a fun little behind-the-scenes thing in terms of streaming. Like, you definitely know I do not have a problem going on rants. The nature of the rant is actually somewhat... I don't want to say calculated, but, like... There are rants I'm willing to go on and ones I'm not willing to go on. So, like, I think, first of all, I think there's a wonderful source of material. Justin, you know, I seem to remember once upon a time I actually managed to get up there. I have no idea how I did it, though. I know, like, I know it's an area I, like, sort of smacked... I'm pretty sure I smacked down, but, yeah, actually, that does invite a question. How the devil do I get back up there? Wow, I really have lost it. Alright, you know what? I'm just gonna wander around here and see the sights. See what I can get away with. Maybe I bounced off of the heads of an enemy. I figure this all gives me a chance to get familiar with the controls and sort of, you know, stop taking the obvious damage, which is definitely going to be something that sinks me in the first few rounds of God Home. Andy Hero, but your name's Kite. Anyways, rants. So, like, I don't know, being annoyed by stuff is a wonderful source of inspiration, and, you know, it's something that gives you something you can talk about. But I think that there is a meaningful distinction between, I don't know, this guy, you know, in the office beside me has a very high-pitched laugh. Oh God, life is horrible. I don't really think that people want to have to hear that, because those are very mundane annoyances that people don't necessarily relate to. Whereas if I say, you know, Goodfellas is a massively overrated movie, and while I think Martin Scorsese is perfectly capable of making good movies like The Last Temptation of Christ, he tends not to have a lot of respect for his audience and will tend to signpost his imagery to make sure that people, you know, quote-unquote, get it. This is probably going to annoy about as many people whenever I say it. I know lots of people. I know more people who agree with me on that point than I thought I did. But I know even more who really love that movie and wonder how I ever worked in movies. But yeah, like, you know, clearly, you know, movies are something that people can sort of relate to and have an opinion on, and occasionally, if you're talking with the right person, you can even have, you know, an educational discussion. You can gain some perspective. There's lots of different things that you can get out of something like that. All right, I messed up again. You know, me complaining about a coworker with a high-pitched laugh in the, you know, the cubicle beside me. First of all, that coworker doesn't exist, and I don't have a cubicle right now. In two ways, like, one, I'm working from home, but also because I have moved to another division where I work. Like, all of my stuff is in my old division, and I'm assuming when we finally come back to work, whenever that is, there's going to be this rather awkward moment where, I mean, I look like a parody of a Tom Clancy villain, like like a misanthropic eco-terrorist who hasn't, like, shaved in, you know, over a year, and just wants to exterminate humanity. Like, that's kind of what I look like right now. I normally prefer to be clean-shaven. I guess Eyes of Sin said that I looked like a cool liberal arts teacher in one stream, but I don't know. I think I look like a mess. I don't think my dash is fast enough to get me through there. I'm gonna try something. Cool. I feel like it's been a while since I've taken this path. Leave me alone. Ah! Anyway, because Kite was talking about his anti-hero status, my point really is that he... you ever notice how, like, he's always... like, there's a disaster, and he always seems to be in the area where there was a disaster? As you know... My good methodology teacher taught me, you know, correlation 100% is always causation. I've actually finished the Grim Troop, as far as I can tell, cured Charlie, so we decided to dismiss them, because I really like the fact that, I think it's Brum, he said that he really liked sort of the majesty of this area and he didn't want to see it plundered, and I always, yeah, I actually agree with him on that. So I could not bring myself to, to deliver the red flame. Oh, sure, Kite, that's what you say. I mean, it's the perfect cover story, isn't it? Okay, so I think the game kind of... I probably should have checked this. I think the game's probably given me a big hint as to... And I believe this is an area that I checked out, but I think this little spot here is... oh dear, there we go. I think this is the most likely area for my... my unknown creatures. Oops. Look for your lives! Alright, well. True from side of the story, but you wanted to challenge yourself and beat the final Grim boss. Yeah, so I had the suspicion that there would be... I had a suspicion that there would be a boss fight, given what happened the last time that I dropped off the flame. And, I had to allow for the possibility that there would still be a boss fight in dismissing it. I mean, it's not impossible, but it's clear, after the fact now that it's clear after the fact now that the game sort of presents you with the option of either clearing out the troop or doing that boss fight. And I suspect there's probably going to be... I haven't seen any of it yet, so I think people have been relatively nice on this. Oh, wow. Well, that's interesting. So maybe the way that I get there isn't here. Oh, nope. Oh. Okay. I feel like we're about to enter into an Empire Strikes Back situation here. Wait, you haven't seen Star Wars, have you? Anyways, those of you that seen the Empire Strikes Back, you know what's coming up. But yeah, so I don't know. Like I feel people have been reasonably nice about that. I suspect there's probably going to be some degree of purist where it's like, oh, you didn't actually do, didn't 100% Hollow Knight because you didn't do the red Grim Truth. But I'm like, if the game developer lets me do it, I kind of feel like it's like there's an achievement in the game. There's a completion meter that went up when I did it. So it's sort of like, I have an investment in the world that they've made. Oh man, I gotta find out what's going on with me. And I made the choice that I did. I'm happy the way that the story went. It would be sort of nice to have had the option to do the boss fight to see what it is. But Team Cherry made the game that they made, and choices have consequences. So hello, the Eyes of Sin. It's really good to see you again. Bits of it and a good portion of the cartoon. I haven't seen the cartoon. We have the lovely The Eyes of Sin here. Now, I did shout out her Twitch channel because she does occasionally stream, but she is the lovely person who created these emotes and somebody who very gently pushed me towards playing Hollow Knight, which we started quite some time ago. Obviously, we've only been playing it once a week, so it's perhaps not so surprising that I've done... maybe not so surprising that she. I'm sorry, I totally blanked. She, if you follow her channel, you'll be able to catch her stuff when she goes live. But I do also like pointing out her availability for commissions. She does now. She does, in addition to art, which is what I've commissioned her for, voice acting. And for those of you that would like to see more of her art, she's also getting into photography as well, and is definitely showing some capability there. Oh my god! There's a retweet for a stream that's not mine on this timeline? Don't follow the Eyes of Sin. Sorry, I'm kidding. But no, if you check out her Ko-fi page, you can see a gallery of, of some of her past work. She does a lot of very nice pixel art, as well as some older works. I'm actually rather fond of the salamander that she's drawn. I think it's somewhere in the past art. But yeah, one way or the other, there's a few different ways that you can engage with Sin. You can definitely follow her on her... Oh, I didn't see these photos before. There's some really good ones here, Eyes of Sin. But if you want to hire her, I think probably going to her Twitter is the best place to go for that. If you just want to enjoy her art, I definitely recommend checking out the Ko-fi, and it will also have a link to the Tumblr. But I can also say that the Ko-fi page will give you the option to do a donation if you just want to support someone who does good art. Again, I try not to be too pushy on that sort of thing, because obviously we're all living through lockdowns and everybody's financial situations are a little bit different, but it is also true of artists who in some cases can do quite well when broadcasters are doing well and people are watching more streams. But that isn't equally distributed. Generally, for artistic things, you tend to do very well, or you tend to do, barely hanging on. And so one of the big reasons I always take these times with the Eyes of Sin is that she's someone who I think has really enriched the chat, both with her presence and with her emotes. And in addition to the fact that I sort of want to speak to her talents and somebody who I think would be great for commissioning emotes, I also want to try and give people a chance to show her that support if they have the means and the interest. So. All right, so I was looking up. I'm not sure if I'm supposed to get anything out of that. How dare they put Geo in a spot that I can't get. That's what the third game's got to be about about being the nail master. You gotta pick up all the geo. Get back here! Oh, neat. Okay, so when I went down to the bottom and I whacked the side of the door, that wasn't completely... That wasn't out of nowhere. That was actually the way the map was built. Okay. Sacre bleu! Oh god. You know, that would have gone from terrifying to just really funny if they did one more level of, like, growing. Oh, Jesus. Okay, I gotta find a way to heal. I also need to find a... Good lord. I have no idea what I'm up against here. This is good music. Ah! So I'd be a little too cautious here, especially given that I don't have a lot of opportunities for healing. Ah, bad luck. Oh, man, I have bad luck on those. Well, bad luck or bad strategy. Oh, Jesus! I'm making the wrong... At, like, every point I can make a choice, I'm making the wrong one. I'm just trying to make this a little bit of a recovery. Nice. So yeah, as far as a war of attrition was concerned, that was not going my way. But I mean, I kind of eventually got it. You know, I know what I'm carrying with me. Oh. So I have a feeling that I am... This is going to be a real beast to deal with in Godhome, but maybe I'll worry about the maybe I'll worry about all the other stuff. All right, I'm sure there's a journal entry on that. Nosk mimics the shape of other creatures to lure prey to its lair. In the deepest darkness, there are beasts who wear faces stolen from your memories and pluck the strings in your heart. Know yourself and stay strong. Okay, so we've only got 2 more creatures to encounter. I don't know if the Hollow Knight itself is one of them. I should actually take a minute here and make sure. So, encountered and completed. So I'm actually got to think about which one I've encountered but not completed. A Blobble, right. Oh man, I gotta remember where those things are. Well, I already know. Okay, but yeah. 2 more enemies to encounter, one of which could potentially be the final boss. This will definitely take some getting used to, but... Oops. I'm feeling mildly confident in our ability to actually see this thing through to a proper end. Ugh. Not quite where I also got to find out where these last 2 charms are. There's still too much to do. Anyways, I guess it's not Deepness that I'm heading to. It's the Royal Waterways. And the thing I hate to admit, I can't remember where the nail mat. I think it's actually in the City of Tears where I need to go. So I suppose there's really no good way to get there, is there? I think I'll just go to the palace grounds and take the Stagway. The Gruzzler. I believe I did. Oh, right, it's not alphabetical. Yep, there he is. Simple-minded creature that haphazardly buzzes around, bumping into things. They only seem dimly aware of their surroundings, making them easy prey to cut your fangs on. What is it that guides them on their paths? It's almost like they search for ways to die. Oh, interesting. I had no idea that they went away in the late game. I was under the impression that the game was fairly forgiving in terms of letting you get your full completion. Like there weren't actions that you could take to like lock yourself out of certain completions, but that I could be wrong in thinking that. The problem is too is that all of the enemies are unique, but it is sometimes a little tricky. Like especially in the heat of combat, you will occasionally run into some situations where you have you've got an enemy that's oh yeah, the ones that crawl on the roofs. Well, this is clearly different from the other, the other ones that behave this way. So there's sort of variance on the same kind of creature, and it can be easy to sort of run run off in the wrong direction. Sort of half remembering what that was very silly of me. Half remembering what the target was, for me at least. I always felt like there was more in the palace grounds. No, yes, of course there's more in the palace grounds, and I did it. This fella. Ah, what a station this is, hidden all the way at the bottom of the world. Until I heard the bell calling, I didn't even know the stagways traveled so deep. You've discovered something quite astounding, little one. No matter how old I grow, the world still keeps surprises like this stowed away. So, I have seen that dialogue before, but I like taking time, especially in stagways that I don't always visit. It is nice to take a minute to make sure that I have all of the dialogue. There have been a couple of cases where I miss it because I forget that I need to do things in a certain order. Hit something with a dream nail before I take its essence, or the other way around. But usually for that, I just go visit the wiki. I tend not to like visiting the wiki, but for dialogue stuff, it's sort of the only option. I am actually impressed with the game. Like, it's definitely... I feel like these are one of the things that the game wants you to feel, that it's you who have done it. One thing I will say for the game, it's very clear that there have been cases where I've been stuck. I am actually quite impressed that so far I've either lucked into, or it feels like I've lucked into, or have otherwise been able to solve most of the I'm not quite sure how I'm going to complete this problems. Like, I don't know if I've specifically gotten to a point where it's like, I don't know what to do yet in the game. I feel like I'm probably getting close to that point if I really want to go for the 112%. A great example of this would be the fact that, Godhome sort of indicated to me that there was this boss, which turned out to be, I think the name was Nosk. And by looking at the map, so the map that showed the grubs confirmed the suspicion that there was a hidden part of the level, and that from activating that and going into the area, if I bothered to take a look at the map at that moment, I would have realized, oh, actually there is another part to this thing, and that, obviously inspired the start of this stream, which was following that lead and running into a rather terrifying enemy. The thing I'm most worried about right now is I'm getting very comfortable with all of my, my supercharged weapons and such, and I know that when I go to Godhome, I'm going to be stubborn and strip myself of all of that. Oh, you've returned. I see you have some pale ore, a rare fine metal that. Give me the ore and some geo for my efforts, and I'll reforge your nail to make it stronger. Ah! Don't have enough geo? Come and see me when you do. And it was on that day that the See, I kept calling this the Hollow Knight, but then it seems like the enemy is the Hollow Knight, and it may be that both are the Hollow Knight, and that, you know, that's kind of the whole point. The corrupt. I mean, again, the Dark Souls thing that definitely has parallels with Dark Souls, if that's the case. But anyways, today is the day I became a communist.
Velmi Ardred.
Yeah, I'll sell 3 of these. An icon of Hallinus King, who is revered as both a god and a ruler, made out of mysterious white material. These are rare and very valuable. If you'll sell it to me, I'll pay a good price.
Kachael Liasoki.
If you look closely, each of these idols is subtly different. There are fine engravings about them that take some time to decipher. I suspect each was tailored to the owner, a personalized symbol of the king's omnipotence.
Velmi Ardred. Kachael Liasoki.
Another king's idol? Have you visited the remnants of his palace? It's down below the city, at the bedrock of the kingdom. Oh, that's really neat. Must have been an impressive sight at the time. Now there's nothing left. So if you sell, I don't know if I really struggled to find that, but it does give you location information. It's strange, a strange thing though. There are no signs of conflict around the area. It's as though the whole place just vanished.
Velmi Ardred.
A Wanderer's Journal, eh? Though they're common finds about the kingdom, I much enjoyed the deciphering of their text. Read together, they paint a morbid tale. It seems fate was unkind to most who travel within Hallownest's ruin.
Velmi Ardred.
Also, if memory serves, I think the Eyes of Sin just told me that, you know, this story is a bunch of random stuff put together, so I shouldn't read too carefully into it. But, you know, it's nice to see. Hey, Night Valian, how you doing? For those of you who do not know him, Night Valian is a Brazilian streamer. And I'm obviously quite late, so I don't know what time you get started, Night Valian, but he is actually somebody I tend to host at the end of the evening. I can give the shout out here. Actually, Eyes of Sin may not be. I was trying to provoke her with the it's all random stuff. The Eyes of Sin is a very big fan of the lore of this game, so. But I actually didn't get a chance to see the last... I didn't get a chance to see the last thing that you were playing, Night Valian. I think... I remember there was the... there was an indie platformer you were playing, but I don't think that was the thing you most recently covered. Anyways, Night Valian is just coming off of completing the Yakuza series. Except for... Is there a 7th? Actually, Night Valian and Kite would probably get along, because I think both of you did a really great job with the Yakuza games. Vigil the Longest Night. Gotcha. You've returned. I see you have some pale ore, a rare fine metal that. Give me the ore and some geo for my efforts, and I'll reforge your nail to make it stronger. As you wish. I'll get to work then. It's done. The reforging is done. Your nail is much stronger than it used to be, as strong as it could ever be. In your only weapon have I seen such... in only your weapon I have seen such potential. Finally, I behold the majesty of a pure nail. To think this moment has come upon me so soon. I must step outside for a moment. Can I get my geo back?
Ranjo Stenja.
With a pure nail forged, my work in this lifetime comes to an end. My only remaining desire is to see and feel the nail strike true. I beg you, cut me down as my final moment in life. I want to taste the blade's exquisite edge. After all this time, all this toil, haven't I earned it? Oh man! What's like the most embarrassing way that I can hit him with the nail? Can I get the Geo back? Like this. Okay, hang on a second here. Why did he charge me 4,000 for the effort if he was just gonna ask me to kill him at the end? Jerk. No refunds. That was a nice moment. I quite like that, but this is me being, this is like the Industries of Titan me coming out. Like, wait a minute. Why you gotta be like that? Yeah, it's one of them, it's one of these Pharaoh situations where, you know, his underground tomb, he's gotta be buried with his riches. Good lord, this thing hits like a truck. Now, of course, the funny thing is that I've taken the effort to go see... Oh, yeah, sorry, there was achievement log. Purity. Slay the nailsmith with the pure nail. Oh, man, so there was an option to go the other way around? It's 105% completion. Oh, I gotta find a vessel fragment somewhere. Sure is, but it's another playthrough now. Oh, man. I don't know. I guess I gave him what he wanted, but... Oh, you know what? I should have seen if I could have kept talking to him. This might have been, because I want to know what the other dialogue... Actually, no, there is one thing that I can do to find the other dialogue. Let's take a quick look at the wiki to see. You didn't... Oh, that's right! I didn't hit the... Okay, well, that's fine. Let's do Hollow Knight, wiki, Nail Master. Yeah, see, this is the problem that I have with... Oh, wait, not Nail Master. This is the one problem I have, kind of just being a little, like, slow to get back on track. I keep forgetting little details, like hit him with the dream nail and such. But that's fine. That's what the wiki's for. Oh, here we go. Outside. With a pure nail forge, my work in this lifetime comes to an end. My only remaining desire is to see and feel the nail strike true. I beg you, cut me down. As my final moment in life, I want to taste the blade's exquisite edge. After all this time, all this toil, haven't I earned it? Do not hesitate, I beg you. Cut me down. I want to taste the blade's exquisite edge. And dream nail before listing. My life's work achieved. What more is left? Although I did slightly spoil myself that apparently this guy is going to come back in Godmaster. So this is, I guess this is the risk that I take by going to find, you know, by going to find dialogue that I miss. This is, I think, one of the drawbacks with, like, any wiki. Like, I think, as an encyclopedia, I think Wikipedia's decision not to dance around spoilers is the right one, right? You are going there for information, and if you are doing a plot summary, that is going to mean, you know, knowing what happens in the story. And if you know, yes, it's unfortunate if you haven't seen the movie, but if you're going to a source of information for information on a thing, you know, it's just better if they give you the information as directly and, you know, ideally concisely as possible. Wikia, which is a different organization from Wikipedia, I think because I guess the group that owns that is Fandom, and because it's sort of a fan-oriented thing, they do tend to have, you know, don't read on, there are spoilers, sections, which is probably the right way to go, right? Because if you really love a thing but you haven't caught up with, the, every episode of what you're watching or, you know, every game, you want to have some, you want to have some protection to stop you from doing your enjoyment. But you want to have some protection from it ruining your enjoyment. But I think one of the consequences, the consequences are different. If you've got an encyclopedia, again, the purpose is to inform. I feel that some of these fan wikis through, groups like Fandom are more intended to, there's sort of something for a community. And the one thing I do think that they could get better at is just the way things are sort of being sectioned off. Because, like, sometimes you just want certain information, like dialogue, but you don't necessarily want to know other things that are related. But, this is the drawback, too, is that wikis are pretty much entirely, sometimes in business context, there'll be like a business wiki. But for the most part, these are all voluntary tasks. So it's really hard to sort of really rip into someone for like, oh my god, you spoiled me on this thing. And plus, the fact that they appear in Godhome, like, it's not like that's really gonna... It's not like that's... Like, the context under which they come up is not known to me, and I'm not 100% sure how they're gonna work that, to be honest. Oh wait, actually, I guess they'll be at the end of one of the sections if the nail, what was I thinking? Yeah, so if the it just occurred to me, like, if the Nail Master showed up at the end of the first trial, I'm sure he'll probably show up as a combatant. You gonna head off 3:15 over here. Got to get some sleep. Been a pleasure being here. Have a good stream. Thank you very much, Kieran Charlie. I'm sorry that I didn't start earlier. I'm sleepy and cranky and otherwise, dealing with my own technical problems. It was great having you in the chat, and we'll see you half right about. If it's related to the game, I'd rather not know. Murdox, how you doing? Thanks for stopping by. This week, yeah, but hopefully I can catch up to the, well, I took a bit of a nap before the stream, so that was a thing. But yeah, I don't know. The week's definitely been a tough one, and I'd like to try and improve things, but I also don't want to get in the way of like doing a show. It's maybe worth reminding everyone. I did say this Wednesday, which is probably the most relevant. Thank you very much for the follow. Sorry, I just completely got devoured while I was thanking you. I appreciate that. Should mention this is my first time playing Hollow Knight. We're sort of close to the end, based on the percentage, but I feel like there's still a lot for me to run through. And I can't believe that I found Godhome and now I'm not able to go back. I started there. What was I gonna say? Yeah, I don't know. Like the week was a tough one. I am gonna have to catch up on some. Oh, actually, there is one thing that's worth saying. For those of you who like my data stuff, I have put together a system. I'm 90% of the way to my next big data project. And actually, it might be something that for the very small number of you who have something on Steam or will be considering putting something on Steam, this might actually be helpful for your own analysis. Again, I don't want to oversell it though, and I have one last component. So some of you probably have seen websites like Is There Any Deal, or just there's a few different aggregators. Even SteamDB, for instance, has some aggregated price information for Steam games. And I don't know why I thought that would protect me. But anyway, I've got a nice collection of basically everything on Steam now. The one thing I'm running into is that I need to find a more reliable way of getting the historical price data. From what I understand, Is There Any Deal does have an API, but I don't think they give the historical price data as part of the API. And I did email them to sort of explain what the purpose was, because like it's intended to be a community resource, right? It's not like I'm sort of using it for private research, but they never got back to me, so I'm assuming they don't want to. I don't know what I thought I was doing there. Oh god. But I'm pretty sure I've got a way I can recover that. Well, Steam Spy I don't believe will give me the historical price information. Steam Spy actually got quite a bit worse when Valve sort of made accounts private by default. Because the way Steam Spy was working was that they would sort of take this random sample of Steam accounts, and as a whole it was representative. Because you do have a selection problem in the sense that there are going to be people who put their accounts private. It's a very different kind of selection than people opting in to make their accounts public. And like, to be honest, from a privacy point of view, it probably makes more sense that Steam does things the way that they did. They obviously did it to cut off like a public resource in terms of like, well, that wasn't so public. I mean, obviously you had to pay to get access to like the really big things. So, but yeah, I mean, now they're doing the same game everybody does, which is to estimate the number of games that have been obtained through. There was this one really clever thing that had happened where because Valve gave incredibly precise numbers for achievements. There were only so many ratios that could achieve those kinds of like. So this is the thing. Like you couldn't make a theorem proving that there's only one pair of numbers that could prove that for like every decimal representation that Steam was giving. But the number of combinations that would produce those numbers was so small that maybe you'd have 2 or 3, and like one would imply that there were like 20 billion copies of the game sold, and the other one would imply that there were like 6. So chances are, you want to pick the middle one. But the thing is, like, people published that result. I think that was actually in a Gamasutra article. And then, Steam changed it, understandably. But again, like, I'm sure, like, the thing is, I'm pretty confident that I will be able to get access to price information. I do sort of wish that the people who are collecting this would be a little bit more open to, others using it. Yeah. So there was the suspicion. Still got to figure out what's going on with some of those other doors, but we'll focus on these days. Give you 10 days, Mr. Chalk. You may have your 10 days. Squiff has sent you on an arduous journey. Oh? Now I'm intrigued. Anyways, sorry, I'm rambling on this stuff. But yeah, so the price information is one thing that I need. I'm pretty sure I'm going to be able to handle it. But the Steam component has been handled. So I actually already have a fairly useful to find a rare prime gem. Oh, God bless you, Murdoch. Thank you very much. That's never required, but I do really appreciate that. All right, I guess I gotta focus. Oh yeah, I forgot. I found a little bit of a secret on how to deal with this sombre. Ah! No! Ah. You know, the last time I tried this, I got it on the first try. I had to just stand there and take it, otherwise I would have lost the souls and the health. No! Alright. Every time I try to get fancy, I wind up getting spanked, so I'll leave it. I was trying to bounce off of the ads to... Well, that's the first time that's happened to me. Normally they tend to do a more, kind of, a bigger swoop, so I tend to be able to assume that they're just gonna move out from under me. Well, then I guess I hit it later too, so... Anyways. Tutorial completed. I am very proud of that dodge, by the way. Normally I don't have the reflexes for that. Oops. Yeah, congratulate myself on one dodge and then completely fail to avoid the most simple attack in the game. I'm not allowed to congratulate myself again. Come on! Oh, that was bad. Whoa! Okay, if I die on this thing, I officially quit. Alright, it would be nice to have full souls, but... I get to feel all bad all over again with this guy. Oh, Jesus, I forgot that was the one. I think it's deceptive because the one that seems like it has more force when he jumps up and hits, you'd think that would be the one that does the shockwave, but it's the one from the standing position that that you gotta watch out for. Alright. Sorry, my friend. I know your intentions are pure. I sort of wonder if I can get away with a heal. Well, let's try. Yes, I can. I don't know what I thought I was doing there, but no harm, no foul. I think the weird thing for me is that I've switched from sort of left to right to left again, and it's just completely... Like, again, I'm in something of a fragile state tonight, so it's really altered my perception of how this fight's working. Okay, well, that's on me. Okay, so we came out of that with more than what we had before. Also, doesn't the head of the mace kind of crawl away in the original fight? Ah, I always get hit by that. So jump is the one I sort of struggle with. I feel this one I get the most material out of. Well, I'm not in a rush, Night Alien. Do the gods really want to see me fail that badly? You can tell from some of these strikes that I really missed the long nail. Alright. So one of the things, I know Endor's is probably crying due to the lack of magic use on here. The problem is that I just find, with the low health and the limited soul capacity, I just find the choice of using magic to be such a high cost. Although what I do need to consider is that my nail is pretty severely restricted, so it might mean that on a relative basis, magic is more powerful. Yeah, no, that's what I meant too. But can't they just extend the animation? All right. Again, I really like the score for this one. Ah! That is a needle. Oh, come on! I hate it when I get hit by the really simple stuff. This is where the trumpets come in, which are my favorites. Although I probably could spend more time learning how the fight works rather than remembering when certain bits of music play. One of the things I really like about the Hornet fights is that it does feel like a, you know, two master swords. Well, potentially two masters of the nail. Obviously, you have a role in deciding how dynamic the fight is. Nuts. Okay, that was a good timing. Alright, I can equip all my charms now, right? Ah! Sorry. Oh, that's right, Glorb. Alright. I can sort of afford to heal on the first round. When they start using more than one, it gets scary. Oh, I'm so slow. The ones that I hate the most are where I see on the screen what's about to hit me, and I just kind of stand there. I'm like, oh, I should probably do something, right? I'm taking a sip of my tea when there's a break. Problem is, and for those of you that heard the George Orwell tea essay, it's Chinese tea I'm drinking. It's not the Indian or Ceylonese tea. And it does not make me feel stronger or braver or smarter. Oh, it's great to have you in here. I hope I did Hollow Knight justice for you, Kite. Because I actually miss. Whoa! I like this guy a lot. Anyways, I'm rather sorry I didn't get a chance to see you play this game, Kite, because I feel like you do a wonderful job with it. Oh man, I never get hit by the oh, Jesus Christ. I really blew it. I'm trying to find the right moment to try and heal. There we go. Nice. He's gonna get angrier. Well, I mean, he's a jolly type. I don't think he ever gets angry, but... Get him the timings of his dives off. So I really should be using this as a better opportunity for some hits. Oh, that's neat. Normally he sort of stuns me when he does that. And sorry if there's anything going on in chat. I know Kite's probably saying goodbye, but I think those of you who fought the Dung Defender sort of understand why I can't afford to peek at the window now. I did it again. I don't think he's at his angriest yet. Ah. Oh, that was bad. Oh wow, that was done. Okay. So you can't take on the Huns. Does it make you as mysterious as the Dark? Okay. I gotta find a way to get some soul and heal. That was the wrong moment to do that. Oh right, it's after he tries to dive down on me. I hate this guy. I used to just have no problem with them at all, but the last couple of times I've been slipping. Almost took a face full of the magic. Cool. All right, let's see if we can make this happen. No! Oh my god, no! Holy smokes, that was terrible! I've forgotten all of my little safety points on the Malwek. We did a good job of it at the end last time too. But that is the one that I actually don't have the best memory for, so. Now, from a broadcast point of view, I can appreciate that I'm potentially getting myself into a quagmire essentially by choice, like the tournament. You know, I don't need to make this so hard. But I sort of want to. But I don't know, like, just maybe a decent disclaimer at the start. This is going to involve me making a lot of the same mistake over and over again while I don't know, I undumb myself. I'll get better, though. Oh, that sucked. I feel like I probably could have gotten on top of him that time. No, I screwed it up. I jumped instead of... Oh, that's bad. I had to take the hit there, otherwise I would have lost both. Oh, Jesus. What happened? Alright, I'm gonna go for a little bit of safety for the next little bit, just while I get my healing back. So I should probably get a read on my... Oh, you know what? I could have read the bindings to see whether or not I'm losing anything. That was on me for not reading. But I'm going to try and get in the habit of using magic a little bit more, just because it's something it's a resource that I have, and I underutilize it by quite a bit. So. Oh, I just stood there while they flew on me. Okay, that's bad. I don't think there was anything I could have done there. I think... Oh, Jesus. I was kind of in the corner and they were moving. I guess I could have dodged. I think the dodge gives me like a invincibility while I run through them. Now, at least, that I have the sort of that shadow cloak. I don't know what I thought I was doing there, but again, it turned out, so... Clearly it was all according to plan. I knew that was coming, too! So this is kind of the danger of blowing the souls while they're throwing the tantrum. It basically means that you're not allowed to heal for the rest of that phase. And of course, it now means that in the next fight, I'm going without masks. I should be able to handle it though. I think I'm gonna just leave the souls for healing. You know what? That's kind of a sissy choice, actually. I think I just got to find the right way to manage it with the jump. There we go. Ooh, I get 2 on that. All right, that's good to know. Come back here! Ah, too early. Oh, come on! I've never seen her hit the wall like that before. Mind you, I'm changing up my patterns now, so... That was so stupid. That's health and... The ones I hate the most are the ones where I stick to it and I still lose the health and the souls. I don't mind sticking to it if I can sort of get the wash, but especially when I sort of see the... If I see the train coming after me, it's disappointing. I'm gonna play a little more conservatively to get that health back. I think it's the first time I've been hit by Glorb's body. Oh, first time for everything. What am I doing? I'm very lucky that he just teleported away instead of doing the extra damage. I wonder if that's scripted. I had to tell that, not that last one, but the one before it. I got surprised with the introduction of the third. Alright, we got it. Oops. I thought he was going to be bouncing up and down. I feel like I should have done a lot more damage to him on that run. So when that happens and it cancels one of your heals, oh, that was bad. That is the most frustrating part of this this fight. So I'm obviously not being as good at handling magic here, but most of the stuff that he does, I usually have a pretty good opportunity to hit him with the nail. Usually hit him multiple times with the nail. The one thing is that when he gets away from me from his sort of his dives or swimming or whatever, that's usually the best opportunity for magic. For me, at least. I'm still learning some of this. Oh man, that was definitely arrogance. So I'm a little reluctant to do too much damage. I'm just waiting for one of the dive attacks. So those are not always guaranteed heals, but I always feel like they're my best opportunity. Okay. I'm gonna go for bold moves for the start. Try heal. Nope, I screwed that up. Oh man, I screwed that up twice over. Damn. I'm really terrible at predicting when he's gonna do that move. Confidence surges as the enemy crumbles. Okay, that was dumb. That was double dumb. Oof. I just need my third. There we go. Okay, we're even. There we go. That wasn't as tight as it could have been, but that was definitely, like, that was instructive. Why hast thou crept into this pantheon, O meager one? The noise of thine wriggling creates much discord, drowning out the godly resonances we attune ourselves to. Dost thou mean to thwart our sacred goal? Dost envy drive thou to such madness? We pray that the gods of this kingdom punish thee, obliterate thee, utterly destroy thee. O gods of Hallownest, show us your might. We shall attune ourselves to thee and ascend ever higher. Creep on, meager one, and may the gods utterly destroy thee. All right, so this is one that I've sort of struggled to get a read on, but I'll
Yes.
Ooh. Whoa. Well, should have seen that coming. Alright, I know how I'm going to handle healing now. Not like that. Oh, that was bad. Okay, so what I meant by I know what I'm going to do about healing is he has his 3 strikes. If I can get on the other side of him, that is a guaranteed opportunity for healing. I also think I know what his attacks look like. So that was really sloppy. I definitely think that just everything I did there, only not sucky, will give me a little bit of progress, and I might even be willing to try some magic on this next one. So with that in mind... oh, it doesn't actually say what these bindings do. So I'm gonna have to make a guess that this magic is... Well, yeah, if I look at, well, I might want to wait on looking at my inventory. I might have been able to bounce off his head, but let's not get reckless. Ah! Sorry, that's got to be hard on the ears. I might have been able to get away with more, but I lost my nerve. Oh, Jesus, that was bad. I tried to dodge that one. That didn't work at all. Okay, let's smarten up. The one thing I will say that's interesting about the bindings is that you really, like, once it's stripped down so that you know, 3 strikes are going to fill out your souls, 3 strikes are going to be what you need to get your next mask, you have 4 masks, it definitely really focuses your attention on the types of actions that you can take and want to take at a given moment. I kind of need to find the magic from the last run again, but... Oh, that would have been so cool if I went off of bouncing off his head and hit him in mid-range. Oops. So the thing I'm ashamed to admit is I actually don't find losing this Pantheon a hardship because I actually really like the Hornet fight. So to me, obviously doing stuff like this, which sort of feels a little bit more like homework, or I mean, there's definitely a couple ones which are like, okay, I gotta get this done. It's not, my favorite fight or anything like that. Sort of knowing that I get the reward of a Hornet fight again is it keeps me going. I was kind of hoping the debris would... Whoa! It's been a while since I got hit by one of those. I was kind of hoping some of the debris would head my way. So obviously I got to smarten up a little bit on this one. Oh, come on! What was I thinking? Every little bit counts. Oh, that was bad. It's okay to do the magic on the tail end of that, but I gotta, like, I actually need to commit. I can't think, oh, maybe this is the time to try it. Oof, and I'm gonna commit to a heal now. So generally I should feel a little safer using magic on this guy, because as long as I do one charge attack, I'm sort of guaranteed to get my health. There are obviously no guarantees, like it assumes that I do a successful trio of attacks like this and that I don't take other damage, but as a whole I feel reasonably safe in that choice. So like here I kind of got tagged by the hit that I know I have trouble with, but one charge later I'm sort of back up to speed. Oh, this fight. Oh, okay, so can't do two on that. Would you guys like to hear an interesting fact about Hornet and the development of Hollow Knight? So, Hornet was the 34th of the enemies to be implemented in the game. And they actually, instead of programming these fights, they would sort of write out these Excel documents sort of talking about roughly how the fight should go. They had kind of a bunch of formulas in terms of just general speed and all of that, called rule sets. And so if you do a search for Rule 34 Hornet, you can actually see those original Excel sheets. For those of you that do not know what Rule 34 is, by the way, please do not do that search. I like being an idiot about stuff like that, but I also sometimes worry that someone who doesn't know better is potentially going to take that as serious. All right, that was worth a try. But yeah, please do not do that Google search. That Excel story is completely made up. I think the problem, like, I like saying stuff like that in a chat because generally the broadcaster is able to kind of correct. Somebody's going to do it and send you an angry. That's why I say, like, this is the thing. It'd be nice to just let the joke kind of hang and let people, people have a laugh about it on the inside. The thing is, when you say that in a chat, like, everybody can have a laugh, and the broadcaster is able to say, "Don't do that. He's being an idiot." When I say it, the people who don't know better are going to be the ones damaged by it, and there's no corrective mechanism. Like, it's just me being an ass. So, kind of coming clean right away is the best path. Oops, was not paying attention. Sometimes knowledge has a price. How you doing, Prometheus? That's really interesting. That's the second time that I've dodged the mighty chest thump. You know what? It would have been way better. Instead of Hornet, I should have said that the Dung Defender was the 34th character implemented. Oh my god. Wait a minute, how would you know, Prometheus? I think of all the characters, Night Valiant, we know exactly who is doing that for Zote. I believe it is canonically established that Zote is the one person where it's actually appropriate for that to be the case. I guess there's a difference between fanfic and that sort of thing, but anyway, I should probably get off the topic. Like, I do have impish tendencies which creep into the stream, and like I do have the 18 plus rating, and it's honestly mostly just because I don't trust myself enough to not like let her rip with some like volcanic profanity when I'm in a really intense moment in the game. Like, I don't know, there's enough sort of edgy or wants to be edgy stuff on Twitch that I kind of want to. I think a little cheek is fine. I think, getting too overbearing with it's not really fun for anyone. All right. I didn't follow my own lesson about when to do that. The dev said he's furry under the armor? Alright, well if the devs are in it, then... That is how confident I am in this fight now. Remind yourself that overconfidence is a slow and insidious killer. So under the right circumstances, this actually becomes a trivial fight. But that's a pretty big conditional, you know. Right circumstances means a lot. Can mean quite a few things turning in your favor. I have to assume that the number of spews just mean that the fight's sort of feeling the heat. It's really interesting, actually. Oh, the spews are the points where I sort of feel a bit of an island of safety. And it's kind of intriguing that those are coming up more the more aggressive I've been. Like, I tend to find when he does that big, like that, it's generally... Oh, crap. It's kind of like a reset, and I know that there's like a couple of projectiles which are not going to hit. Oh, this is going to be a bad one. That was dumb. Oh, why did I dump out my... Alright, that's gonna put me on the back foot, but...
Yes.
Cool. Oh no! Oh man. Okay, not a great spot to be in. Okay, got my third. I'm just trying to set myself up for the next set of heals. That was bad. Oh, all right. Yeah, that wasn't great. I had a better mental model for what I was going to do rather than what I actually accomplished, but I think it's well within my abilities to see. I could probably at least see this part of the Pantheon done tonight. I still have another hour, so. Yes, we're coming out of the gate strong on this one. 2 hits on the, like, second easiest fight. What did I think I was going to do with that? You dodge into, not away from this way. You know, one thing I probably should be doing is counting the number of hits it takes to take out an enemy, and then finding out how many, like how it's reduced by on the like when I use magic. but I think sometimes I don't really know what's going through my head on some of those magic shots. I guess it's lack of practice. Like I have something in my brain, but I sort of haven't gotten enough experience to get the right read. I think just sometimes I do really stupid things, but I haven't been fatal yet, so. No, I figure Night Valiant, like, if the game doesn't want to tell me, I don't see any value in sort of pursuing information external to the game. Like, I feel like for this sort of stuff, you know, the exploration and the figuring stuff out is part of the fun. I mean, one thing I've really enjoyed about doing this particular session is sort of seeing how I've grown in terms of being able to handle some of these boss fights. And I think that also extends to some of the challenges that the game throws at you. Like, I need to try and learn for myself what the effects are. I mean, one thing that I kind of find for myself too, like one reason, this is a personal thing too, like my view has always been for the wikis, like game wikis, is that someone has found this, you know, using the exact same materials that I have access to. And so my personal hope has always been that I'm the sort of person that discovers that sort of stuff rather than just takes it from another source. And that's just how I like playing games thing. Obviously, people have been able to enjoy games in a whole different way. Like, a great example of this would be something like Civilization, where people who feel intimidated by the game actually find it really helpful to find a strategy from someone else and implement it, and that's the way that they're able to engage with the game. And I think that sort of stuff is great because it means that more people are able to enjoy things that I personally really like. But because for myself, the discovery is part of the fun and the ability. I tend to find it's not exactly the same impulse as when I was working in film and sort of like watching how scenes worked. But I find it sort of tickles me in the same spot, which is why I tend not to like that external information. Oh well, it was just for the information on what some of my abilities did. But there's too many unknowns in that equation, which is that I might have a more powerful spell, but it may be that the ability or the thing that makes that spell more powerful is disabled as part of the charms. I suspect it isn't. I suspect just partly through the animations that I do actually hit harder with magic than I do my nail. But I'll be honest, like my behavior really doesn't change in those circumstances. Like right now, I really need to smarten up. In fact, I'll try. Yeah. I really need to smarten up with taking hits on this guy, because obviously I don't have many opportunities. I actually really do I feel like this boss when I first played the game came at just the right time. Like, it really taught me the ability to heal is not a you can do stupid stuff. It's not a you can do stupid stuff free pass. I think that enemy in particular does a really good job of communicating that, there are specific times where it's appropriate to heal. I almost screwed that one up. Oh, I wanted my third. Yeah, I'll be honest, it's always hard for me to say something like good game design, because I always, I like games. I tend to be very happy with a lot of the stuff that I play. And I'm sometimes, like, all I really experience in terms of good game design is the effect. If I'm enjoying the game, I assume that it is designed well. And if it's a game that I don't enjoy, it's very hard to say, oh, well, clearly it's the programming that went wrong. No, I mean, like, the programming is pretty hard to identify. It's not impossible, right? But I think it assumes a little more knowledge on the part of the player. So I'll be honest with you, like, that experience with Valiant Cheese was enlightening. It's actually kind of interesting that when people play Supply Chain, and I notice people are very reluctant to offer critical feedback, which I think is a really important lesson. Like, people are generally nice, which is that's blowing my mind as someone with somewhat misanthropic tendencies. But like, if I really blew it, I don't think people would say. I think they just stop playing. But what does interest me is that, like, the stuff that I don't care for in the way that it works are things that they identify, which I think is really neat. But even then, like, a lot of my contribution was sort of, I don't know if I'd say balance, but just sort of the idea of trying to make it, it was like trying to make it so that you would have to try and discover the best parameters. And I had some very specific plans in mind in terms of how that was done. And yet I couldn't really tell you, having had that experience, what differentiates good or bad design. Again, just other than the fact that sort of it's, I know what I like. But I mean, maybe that's what it's like, maybe that's what's entailed. Like, somebody sits down and makes a boss fight and says, this feels really good now. Like, I have a feeling that this is the sort of thing where you can sit down and pencil out a lot of work, but in the end, the show me factor is a really important component. It's like writing, right? I wish I wrote more. One thing I can say for sure, that anything that I write is always going to be fed by the reading that I have done over the course of my life, and very often colored by what I'm reading at the moment. But sorry, just needed a second to concentrate. I had a small reset. I've noticed the more I try and, like, outline blog articles and things like that, or the more quote-unquote planning that I do, the less I write. Sitting down and writing incredibly crappy versions of the stuff in my blog has always wound up producing the better versions of the stuff that I've written. I wasn't sure I'd be able to get away with that, but that's good knowledge for future. Oof. That was not great. I'm a little mad at myself for abandoning magic. I gotta get that back in the rotation. Ooh. I'm making some goofy choices on this fight. Yeah, like, wow! Like, running straight into 2 dung is, quite the feat. Alright. Yeah, I don't know. I think the thing that... Oh, sorry. I had my hands off the keyboard. We'll have to recover that health somewhere. Like I said, it's not guaranteed healing. It just tends to work. Yeah, so I mean, it's not like I'm not aware of things like balance. I think the problem is that every time I try and like scratch under the surface of what that exactly entails, like let's take, so one thing about Hollow Knight, right? And it's very safe to say the reason why these boss battles are so enjoyable is they're completely unbalanced. The enemy that I'm facing is clearly much stronger than me in every possible way. And I've specifically opted into a set of parameters that have made that balance even greater. And yet there are a number of factors that I personally think are related to the design, which are just the way these enemies look, sort of the consistency in terms of the art style, the music, the way these fights feel. So again, like one of the things that really stands out in the Hornet fight is that when I'm doing it well, it feels like the sort of thing that you would see in an Errol Flynn movie. Just these like incredible feats of swordsmanship. Actually, or something like The Princess Bride, right? Like you've got the Dread Pirate Roberts and Inigo Montoya, 2 characters who are sort of known for being exceptional swordsmen, battling. And, that's easy to write, but like, how do you show that? You got to figure out how, what does the battle between two masters of the form turn out. So, like, the thing is that I can give sort of very pat answers, but another great example would be, Darkest Dungeon. There are very obviously classes that are stronger than other ones. One might imply that that is an unbalanced design, and yet it's a very effective one. It's one that makes that game quite enjoyable, and in fact the game specifically recognizes that through naming certain common compositions. So yeah, it's a tricky one. It's just like the more I've tried to pin it down, and I mean in the end, right, it's like design is not my job, so it's just sort of me as a player trying to understand the fact that there are human beings who are creating these games. And there's very clearly groups of people who have a very consistent track record in making things that move me and make me feel certain things. And I'm quite interested in... I mean, it's like any kind of creative work, right? It's always very interesting to see how people are able to do that. Because in some ways, one of the defining characteristics of a lot of art is the fact that it always sort of seems to defy whatever conventions or rules or standards. I think an example of this would be the painting Blue Boy. Apparently there was an art theorist at the time. Like, there's just this really well-established idea that you would never put blue in the foreground. Like, that was just one of the rules of painting that everybody knew. And so this fairly famous painting, you know, is entirely dedicated to a subject dressed entirely in blue. And clearly it works. And like all of the paintings that followed that rule of no blue in the foreground, we don't talk about. So yeah, it's just one of these things here. Like, again, whenever I say like I don't quite understand what good design means, it's not like I'm kind of going in with a complete blank slate. But what I do find interesting, for me at least, in terms of my speculation, is that every time I try and pin down a fuzzy concept like balance, there's always a very interesting counterexample where, you know, again, you can come out and say, well, you know, the balance is designed, you know, to, I don't know, produce a certain length of an encounter or whatever, which is fine, but I just feel like that's a kind of definition that changes based on whatever you're examining. It's something that doesn't really give you any indication about how you might implement it in an original work moving forward. I'm also just I also have a tendency to get a little too navel-gazing on that sort of stuff. But then that's the fun for me, because I'm someone who like, again, for me, I'm someone who experiences the product of these decisions, conscious or unconscious. And if I'm doing a boss fight over and over and over again, it is sometimes interesting to sort of sit down and say, what does this make me feel? Like, you know, I've got this big, brooding guy, I've got the same set of movements, and yet this fight feels so different from the, from the others. Oh, man. They really reward you if you get the parry in. Okay. I really can't afford to be timid. I won't be reckless, but like, oh man, that was bad. Oh, Jesus. I'll get my third. That sucked. I was really trying to get that third heal. I screwed up one of the heals, and it all sort of fell apart. So when it describes the Shade Soul, conjure a shadow that will fly forward and burn foes in its path. Ah, okay. So it doesn't actually say that it does. Well, okay. I think the description for it says that it did more damage. I know for my charms, yeah. Not worth speculating. I was getting ready to hit the soul there, but I saw that the opportunity was flying away. Nuts. I thought I sort of had an idea of what its movements were like when it was going to sort of be floating partway through. Like, that was one that I had a pretty good expectation to be able to hit with the magic. But There are a couple of times where it floats up and it kind of catches me by surprise. I'm not trying to bounce on its head, though. I feel like that's another thing I could do to make this a little bit faster. One of the things that I am feeling a certain pressure on in this is to get through the earlier fights as early as possible. Because I'm still at that point where I'm sort of... I've got some lessons from previous encounters with the Nail Master, but they're ones that are very... they're very easy to lose. They're ones that I need kind of that repeated exposure to really kind of sort of do them reflexively. And obviously having to do a bunch of intermediate fights just sort of, it takes some of the... I mean, I'm feeling quite a bit more alert than the start, which is good, except for my, you know, my sleep, my hopes for sleep. Okay, I'm still gonna try for the early magic. But again, I need to smarten up on the intermediate hits. Bad at hitting the debris. All right. I sort of wonder what would happen if I tried magic on the first little bit of this encounter, but I don't think it's worth. I don't think it's worth the experiment. I think just waiting for a jump is. When I say the start of the encounter, I mean like that first little bit where you can get potentially 2 hits as he's bury himself. See, the thing that annoys me is I know it's possible to get 4 hits on those. And now I'm secretly wanting to try and get the 4. So the problem is you can't let people know what you want, otherwise they'll take advantage. That was quick. Okay, so I think this is probably the most suggestive evidence that the magic has a very substantial effect on the fights. I keep forgetting that's her, like, intro animation. That's not actually an attack. Oops. I should have used the Hadouken there. So my new goal is when I'm... Oh man! That's mean. So I hit the edge of the wall there. And it bounced me back into Hornet. What was I gonna say? Yeah, I guess my new mission is I gotta get the fight done quickly, but I can't let the fight go so quickly I don't get to hear that trumpet bit that I like. Actually, okay. This is going to be kind of boring, but I'm also kind of going through some bosses that we've done a little bit. I can try and talk a little bit about some of the data stuff I'm working on. Who here is familiar with the Consumer Price Index or inflation? I realize inflation is like the #1 thing people want to talk about. Oops. When playing Hollow Knight. I'm sure there's a bunch of monetarists in chat who are, you know, padding their copy of Friedman and Schwartz. I suppose the alternative I can do is just take you all as a captive audience and explain. Okay, actually, here's one thing I'll try and do. So, some of you who've read the blog know that I have talked a little bit about the idea of the cost of games going down over time. And this is something of a contentious thought, because you will have... Okay, so like the most common problem that you run into, or governments run into when they produce measures of this sort of thing, is that that is really cool. You can hit him when he first bounces out. Oh, that's also really good to know that when he's moving back, if you hit him with the Hadouken, he takes 2 hits. Anyway, so the big problem that countries run into when they will create measures of inflation is that their citizens look at those measures and they turn around and say, you don't know what you're talking about, I just went to the grocery and it cost me, you know, way more than it did last time. And to a certain extent, that is actually true. The representative basket, I don't think is something that anybody... I don't actually think it's something that anybody really buys. Like, you know, I'm sure at least... at some point in history, like photo finishing services were included in the basket of goods. I'm pretty sure most of you don't do that. I mean, maybe you get like prints of your digital photos, but like let's face it, like most of us do not print photos except for really special occasions now. But again, the question is, you know, are you measuring a price level, or are you, you know, coming up with a statistic for what you personally have experienced at your local grocery? Like, obviously, an aggregate measure is not going to be, is not going to speak to somebody's individual experience any more than, you know, a GDP per capita says, you know, this is the amount of money that you're making a year, right? Everybody's like, no, I don't make anything close to that. It's like, yeah, because there's a lot of people who make a lot of money, and they tend to skew those measures. But there are still reasons why it's important to measure the price level, because when it comes to things like GDP, generally economists tend to want to understand something known as real GDP, which is essentially what are you giving up in terms of your time. I mean, the most simple trade-off I can explain would be what are you giving up in terms of time in order to obtain the goods and services that you want. So if it took you, let's say, a day of work, like 7.5 hours at your current job to be able to buy a video game on release, and let's say 5 years from now, it costs you half a day to buy a new video game on release. And again, this is all things being equal, so clearly I'm not saying that you've changed jobs into something that pays you better or whatever, but just in terms, all things being equal, if the number of hours you have to work is less than what it would have been in the past, it's fair to say that the price of games has gone down. The reason I use hours of work as a measure is just that tends to be the way that most of us make our money. And for those of you that are living off of your GameStop capital gains, congratulations. So one of the things that's happened with games is that it feels like since Oblivion came out, AAA game hasn't really moved in terms of nominal prices. Like, it seems to be the same sticker price. And I'll always see everybody's seen the meme where it's like, this is what a hot dog costs now, and like you see a, individual price for the bun, individual price for the ketchup and all of that. And it's such a terrible argument, because obviously the types of games that we're getting now are on a scale and quality so far beyond anything that would have been coming out in the past. The best argument that I have for that is consider what happened to Star Wars Squadrons, which I think was sort of a surprise favorite coming out of EA Motive. And everybody was complaining that there wasn't a live service component, and that it meant this is what I get for talking about prices while I'm doing boss fights. That's a shame that we fell to the Malwick again. That's fine. We'll get it through. So the problem here, right, is that it is not an apples to apples comparison. What you're getting. Even if you buy the basic version, like, DLC is a thing, microtransactions are a thing, the base game that you get for your $60, I think, fairly unambiguously is a much more substantial product. And you can measure that a few ways. You could measure that on how long to beat. You could measure that on... if you really want to do user reviews, you could use revealed preferences to see how much time people are spending in old games. Whether or not there's sort of a... other than stuff that's recently come out, like past a certain point of time, do games from a certain vintage tend to rank higher in terms of concurrent players than games of older vintage, or older vintages? If so, there's, I think, a very reasonable argument in terms of the quality of those games. So, this is a big problem, right? Because game developers get paid in nominal dollars, but they pay their salaries, in order to get somebody to work for you instead of, going to Shopify or Amazon. I mean, Amazon has a game development section, but, like, people who are talented at this sort of stuff cost money. There's competition for that labor. And while it is true that people might be willing to take a pay cut for a passion, there is only so much you can do for the love. And so, in this case, the cost of game development, there's an ambiguous effect. I think the human costs have gone up. The workforce is more skilled. The capital that people have are making that work more productive. But on the other hand, Unreal is basically free if you have less than $1 million in revenue. Unity has sort of a token cost if you make over hundreds of thousands of dollars in revenue. Otherwise, it's effectively free as well. free and open source versions would be things like Godot. I think the Torque engine, which Frozen Synapse is made in, has that. So in terms of the tools for game development, those have gone down. The labor costs have probably gone up. Though it does invite the question in terms of how many people you need to make a given game. But all that being said, like, I think there's the essay that I wrote on the blog essentially made the argument that real prices for games have gone down in the sense that because the nominal price has not changed in a decade, possibly decades, that the price level in all major countries where basically G7 countries here. Obviously game development happens across the world now, but I think it's not unfair to say that generally G7 countries are where that's happening. So you get a general idea about what's happening to the price level, which will give you an idea in terms of wages. This is sort of why you're seeing what you see in terms of game development. So I would argue that if you see the fully developed argument, there's a fairly good sort of indicator to say that real costs of games have gone down, but it's not ironclad. Like in the end, the best thing would be if we could get a bunch of if we could get the data of all of the sales and prices for the games, and from that we would actually be able to calculate how much of a fraction of income is sort of this representative basket of games costing consumers. The other problem with that is that there's a lot of theory that goes into the construction of that. That's kind of a solved problem. But you still have the quality problem. Like, how do you come up with a meaningful comparison between The Witcher 3 and, like, Deus Ex? Or, The Sims and Darkest Dungeon? I kind of like to joke how, all gaming is a footnote to The Sims, but in practical terms, like, if you don't account for quality change, and quality is improving over time, then ultimately you are going to overestimate price increases. The same way that, cars nowadays have things like warm seat. Like, if you compare the Model T to a car today, the car in nominal terms is more expensive, but holy smokes, will you prefer to drive a modern car to something like a Model T? I'm assuming. I don't really drive, so. So anyways, I've made something of the heuristic argument in the blog. What I'm moving on to now is an attempt to quantify unambiguous. Like, basically, if you agree to the following assumptions, this is unambiguously what the price level is. Again, the assumptions are always tough, but it's mathematical assumptions just in terms of what the shape that certain things have. And then the last stage will be an effort to try and do quality measures, which, believe it or not, is actually something for which there is a literature as well, but generally not for cultural products like games. I cannot believe I got away with that. And I'll admit, like, that's the hard problem. Although, interestingly enough, I have done that for computer prices. So there is actually a way that you could quantify what the value of a pink laptop is relative to any other styles of laptops. And there's sort of a set of modeling principles that you can put into place to figure that out. The thing is that, like, I haven't done it for pink laptops because who cares? Like, I do have sort of a responsibility to my employer to come up with useful insights. So, and we were solving a different set of problems with the computer thing. But anyways, that's this weekend's work. know I need to recover the health. I just had an opportunity to do some damage. I noticed the last time I went up against Hornet, I left a lot of Souls attacks on the table. Oops. Well, fair enough. I will admit, just because Hornet's sort of moveset is so elegant, I always find it funny when she like just walks up to me and like whacks me. Because it's like relative to everything else that Hornet does, it's just so it's so brutal. Like it's the kind of thing I would expect to do. I thought I missed the distance on that. Ooh, okay. So there's no staggering on those attacks. I probably knew that going in, just I didn't think of it at the time. Ooh. Okay, no harm, no foul. That was really dumb of me. This is definitely not the 2 Nailmaster version of this fight. We got through it though. And I don't keep my concurrent viewers anymore, but I'm gonna guess the price digression completely completely killed the mood. I gotta have something to talk about. I will. So I'll avoid the price stuff. One thing that I do think is interesting about it is that I took a course on sort of index number theory in university specifically because it seemed to be a really boring topic, and what it comes down to is I tend to find like sexy topics like, you know, economic growth. There's a quote from Robert Lucas that says, you know, once you start thinking about growth, it's hard to think about anything else. I was sort of talking about the welfare effects that even like a 1% change in economic growth can bring about. The thing is that sort of stuff is easy to get excited about, and so it's much more likely that I'm gonna sit down and read a textbook on that and not have any. Like, there's always going to be tough bits in those textbooks that are a little bit of a drag to get through, but you can keep that motivation. Like, your interest in the subject will keep you going. Sort of the same way that if you play, you know, a really difficult strategy game, but it's a period of history that you really like, you're probably going to be able to get through the trouble of... I haven't been using magic on this guy at all. You're probably going to be able to get through it because you have that passion to go through the hard bits. So, the guy who taught it was exceptional. He's not just a very good teacher, but like he is a very, very gifted economist. He is one of these people who, you know, when you go to a university, there is the potential that one of your professors is someone who's made sort of fundamental contributions to the field you study. He was that guy. But unlike some of those types of professors, everybody's also probably had an experience, well, everybody's gone to university, has also probably had the experience where they take a class with a professor like that and, like, nothing they say makes sense. I've also had that experience, too. He is definitely kind of a counterexample to that. He is exceptionally knowledgeable about that field. I mean, still making contributions to it today. He's definitely advanced in years, I think is the diplomatic way of putting it. But super sharp and just very, very like, if you read one of his papers, it's going to be tough. But like taking the class, very clear exposition. You know, mathematics when it was clarifying, plain English when it wasn't. But anyway, so like the big thing that I got out of that was that the subject, to me at least, is actually very, very interesting. And again, it's just a question in terms of presentation. I don't think I've sold any of you on the importance of like, you know, like here's the thing, right? It's a tool for people who analyze to do a better analysis. Like in the end, you probably do not want to go to your nation's statistical agency and see what the CPI did, unless you just happen to be interested in economic topics. But that number, in terms of, you know, what governments will do in response to what that measure does, is very important. Nuts, he dodged me. And as it happens, that just happens to be an area where I think there's the possibility to create a tool that's very helpful for people who do want to analyze the gaming marketplace, and to be able to talk both about what's happening to players as well as developers, especially in a time when I think there's a lot of opinions about what's going on, but not necessarily a lot of, you know, like, it's not the sort of stuff that you can take to the bank always. Like, it's always, okay, it's like, I understand that's your feeling on the issue, but I'm not entirely convinced that you've covered everything. Which is fair. I mean, like, that's true for all research, right? Usually you have to make a set of assumptions to get somewhere. And the question is whether or not those assumptions are too strong to be practically useful, or if they're ones that are sort of counter to what people's needs or experience are. I've lost my abilities on this one. The most important thing I learned about this fight, when I had to do it, maybe not so much in the trial, but definitely when going after it in a more open environment, was sorry, I've lost game concentration for a bit, so I just need to stop talking. Okay. I'm back. Oh, no, I'm not. But yeah, one of the most important lessons I got out of one of the earlier encounters in an open space against this against the Molech was the fact that the first spew is never going to hit you. If you stay put, you are not going to get hit by it. You can move into it, which is what I think it's largely intended to, like, I think its behavior is largely intended to provoke that kind of response. But like, I know I will always be able to heal in response to the first attack. I hate the fact that he did that. I don't think that was designed as a dodge, but boy, was it effective as one. Okay, this is going to be hard to... yeah. I will admit, I'm not 100% what to do when he does a big spew from the edge. Ooh. I misread what he was up to. Oh, Jesus. Okay. That's unfortunate, but... Alright, I'm behind on these encounters. I was really hoping I might get some soul out of that. This is definitely going to be very challenging off the start, but this is going to be my lesson for healing. Okay. Oh, that was brutal. I really just threw that run away. All right. Yeah, so that's not great. I mean, the Malwick was just sloppy overall. That was the original sin. But I should have done better on the healing. There's no question on that. A funny thing, I also wasn't intending on talking about price indices as much as I was going to say that the one thing I learned out of it is, you may remember probably from elementary school, inequalities, right? So you draw the alligator, and it says, this number is bigger than that number. It turns out inequalities are a fascinating subject of mathematics. There's a lot of really cool stuff you can get out of them, and I have no idea why people don't learn more about it. Well, number one, because it's rare that you'll run into people who really like math. But that was another thing that I got at, just learning once you go, most of the time when we were doing algebra, we were trying to find the x, right? 2 plus x equals 4, find the x. So you learn a series of rules saying, okay, I know I can I know I can subtract 2 from both sides. 4 subtract 2 is 2. As a result, I know that x is 2. And then as you go into advanced grades, you might learn some more tricks for being able to solve slightly richer problems of that nature. But generally, our experience through school is to deal with a case where we've established equality between two things. But a lot of real-world cases that you'll run into are ones where you can't actually establish equality. And having knowledge that one thing is bigger than another might be the only thing that you have, or might in some cases be a more powerful bit of information in terms of solving the problem that you're dealing with. So I'll give you a really good example here. I was talking about, having to try and get information about the state of, this is bad. The state of gaming. What are people buying? How much are they buying? Unless Steam gives me access to their databases, I'm never going to know how many copies of a given game people bought. The other alternative would be, there's this magical thinking that every developer in the world will voluntarily give me their Steam data. Or if I do some random sample that enough people will respond, that I'll be able to draw appropriate inferences from it. That's pretty unlikely. That was a terrible bit of magic, by the way. But one thing we can rely on is Steam gives us information about top sellers. We know the sort of ordinal ranking of quantities sold on Steam at any given moment. Now, would it be better to have a direct measure of what that number is? Absolutely. Are you completely in the dark if you have that ordering? No, actually, that's really helpful knowledge. A really great example I would give you is consider Kitfox Games. Kitfox Game is going to be publishing Dwarf Fortress. Dwarf Fortress is very highly ranked in terms of the number of wish lists on Steam. And so one thing that they're able to know is games that are close to them. They're sort of able to know that the following AAA games have more wish lists than them, but there's at least a floor. And they also know that there are some that are close, that then below them there's sort of a ceiling in terms of how many people could be wishlisting their game. Now again, Kitfox Games is probably not a company that really wants to have competitive intelligence in terms of the games that would be on the wish lists next to Dwarf Fortress I don't think it's very likely that they're really going to be able to get any actionable insight in terms of the anticipation. Like, if there's a new Call of Duty game, which would probably be on Battle.net anyway, so that's probably not a good example. I guess Assassin's Creed isn't on Steam anymore either, because Ubisoft's going to keep it on Uplay or Epic now, I suppose. I don't know, like, let's say a new Battlefield game. Or, I don't know, if there's, like, Jedi Fallen Order 2, which may or may not exist, but probably, you know, would be something that people wishlist a lot. You know, what does Kit Fox really learn from knowing that, you know, approximately as many people wishlisted this hypothetical Jedi Fallen Order 2 as wishlisted Dwarf Fortress? By the way, I'm like making this stuff up, right? Like, I don't know what these rankings are. But, you know, again, being able to establish ordering, in this case, gives Kit Fox something of a privileged position in terms of knowing, you know, if Dwarf Fortress is near the top, the overall state of the games industry on Steam, you know, let alone indies. You know, I suspect probably the same would be true for somebody like Team Cherry. You know, I have to assume Silksong's probably highly anticipated. Now, again, are they particularly going to care about the, you know, the AAA stuff that they're, you know, that they're compared to? Probably not. If Team Cherry wanted to do some sort of a study in terms of the overall state of the game industry, probably better positioned to do so than, you know, than one of their peers, so long as they knew how to deal with the ordering information. And again, inequalities will allow you to do manipulations that give you a lot of insight. But again, something tells me that going from price indices to mathematical inequalities is not exactly a crowd pleaser. Good news is, though, I was able to talk about it and not lose the encounter. I've definitely gotten pretty greedy on some of these attacks. Actually, one other slightly more interesting data project, which is this is going to be a really long time in coming, because like I'm now at a point where I've kind of got I've actually got to deal with the size of all this stuff available. But one of the projects I've wanted to work on for a really long time is to actually take data on how players are behaving within a game. So we were talking about balance and chat a little bit earlier. You know, again, this is all stuff that can be measured because it's on a computer. I'm still trying to decide whether or not doing magic for that attack is the right call, because I guess it's the largest amount of damage that you can do for free. Whereas just whacking him with the nail doesn't quite deliver. But yeah, like the problem here, so I've learned two things, which is number one, talking to indie developers, I've learned that one real big need is the ability to understand their, they understand their sales data, but be able to draw useful knowledge from their sales data. You know, I think the question, like, obviously a lot of a lot of developers are going to be asking the question, can we keep the lights on? You know, if they're self-financing, you know, how long is it going to take to make the game? Can we pay everyone? You know, obviously this is serious stuff. If you can't self-finance, you need to find a publisher. If you get that question wrong, you possibly don't get a second chance. Like, your studio could go under. You can't pay people. And, you know, like, you can recover in the sense that, like, people don't lose their talents. But so much of the value that comes from developers is just the knowledge and the kind of the systems that they have in place to be able to make games. So, you know, I'm assuming part of the quality improvement of Hand of Fate 2 comes from the fact that Defiant Games had made Hand of Fate 1, and they sort of had an idea of what it was like to make a Defiant game. I never got my tea between fights. I was wondering why I was feeling groggy again. And it's occurred to me that, like, the design questions. So, like, the thing I'm interested in is that if you can have records of what decisions players are making within the game, you're going to be able to get some insights about, you know, how you've made the game. Oh, Jesus. I'm totally out to lunch. Again, something of a foolish move, but it didn't cost me anything, so... Oof. It's always when those ones come crashing in that really hurt me. Oh, that would have been really good. I failed the dismount. So he doesn't seem to be as aggressive as he is when he normally has that, like his roar. So I'm wondering if I interrupt him when he's doing that, whether or not that makes the fight easier. Anyways, so yeah, I've got this like the question I'm interested in, like, the thing is that game designers know how to design games. I'm not really sure they need my, you know, data analysis to tell them what they maybe intuitively already know. That's the way it should be, right? Like, you know, people do stuff and then analysts sort of interpret and understand it so that mere mortals can understand it. But as a personal project, I'm really interested in seeing whether or not you can quantify certain design decisions or better informed design decisions through play. But of course, the thing is that this is obviously very valuable data for the company, assuming they have it. It's not a problem that they immediately need to solve. In fact, if anything, it probably takes away the fun part of the game for people. And there's this bigger question in terms of, you know, what can we expect in terms of sales? This is why, like, wish lists are such a big thing. I really screwed that one up. I gotta remember that I think I turn a lot faster than I actually do. I made it that time. Normally, if it's two dives down, it's good night. So I got to remember for the Malwick, I cannot kill it with a Hadouken. Oops. Oh wow. Oh wow, 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 wow. Okay, we can recover from this. It's gonna be hard, but there we go. Ah. There we go. Crap! Oh, Jesus. Oh, I don't have the souls. Okay, I'm evening out, but there's only, like, I've only got so many mistakes that I can make here. So I'm just going to be very careful for the next couple of rounds. I just need to do a proper reset. Oh, Jesus. Like, this has just kind of turned into like a street brawl, and I can't afford to take the damage that entails. Okay, so I'm trying to be a little more precise in my movement around the Malwick. I can afford a couple of like reckless hits, like just trying to avoid larger damage under normal circumstances, but like I'm trying to dig myself out of a hole from earlier. Okay, we're balanced out now. And as much as I want to use magic right now, I really don't know where I am in the overall scheme of things, so I think I'm just gonna reserve that for healing. Which again, I really don't like playing scared. I think playing scared is how I wind up failing these kinds of fights. But I don't know. I just need to be I need to be a little more conscious of how I've done with the Nail Master. That was a very lucky parry. See, that's what I'm trying to avoid. Oh, Jesus. It's possible I'm going to be starting the Nail Master at a disadvantage. There we go. All right. That was a little nerve-wracking, but we got it. It's almost 12:30. Good lord. All right.
Yes,
Okay. Oh, come on! There was no excuse for me to take that damage. Okay, I got a little lucky that he didn't take advantage of that. Okay. Oh, crap. I'm about to throw this away. Oh, nuts. I panicked. Alright. I definitely am starting to see the mapping of my understanding on this fight. I'm a little... I kind of feel like I'm starting to run out of steam tonight, and I may need to pack it in. I probably have at least one more in me, and I think a lot of this is going to depend on how... I think this is going to depend on how well it goes through, because oh, I did finish my tea. Alright, water then. There's always this moment on these broadcasts where, like, I can get a second wind, or I can do, you know, it just kind of winds up being this really sad decline where I start, you know, losing to intermediate bosses a little bit more. And I'm getting the sorts of feelings where, I'm probably in the latter, as much as I hate to admit it, because I really feel... I think if I didn't spend my time doing all that other ancillary stuff, we probably could have had the Nailmaster down. But that's fine. I mean, next stream will definitely be focused entirely on Godhome. Like, I just don't really know what else I want to be doing at the time. There is clearly a couple more entries I need to sort out. But I don't have any I don't really have any indicators in terms of where I'm going to find them, whereas there's plenty for me to do inside here. So it just seems to be a natural place to go. I really need to start bouncing on this guy's head again. Just because I talk about math and economics while doing these fights doesn't mean I want the fights to be boring. I just want me to be boring. You can tell I'm like a real hit at the parties. This is the sort of stuff that I say when I see an attractive woman and, you know, want to get to know them better. It's just, you explain that the Fisher Index is your favorite. Explain, you know, how taking the geometric average of a passionless pair is really the only way to go if you want a serious insight. Got an alert. Apparently I owe the bank money. But like not in a you're late money, it's just their friendly reminder. Which I prefer. Like, I used to work for a credit card company, more so in like approving applications. So like, I'll be honest with you, like probably the majority of credit card I really need to pay attention. Majority of credit card applications are no-brainers. Like, you've probably experienced, I mean, depending on your situation, you've probably experienced this. Where, you know, you've applied and it feels like you've been approved for the credit card right away. I mean, sometimes they'll give you sort of a carefully worded approval, so, you know, approved conditional on ... But they're like, I've 100% had the case of, you know, do an application for something and it's like, you know, you have been approved for this card. This is what your limit is. These are your, you know, your terms, so on and so forth. And there's also some really obvious cases of, like, you know, there's no possible way we are lending to this person. And all that can be done by a computer, right? I mean, that is the reason there is a credit score. The credit score is going to be a measure of risk. Lending to any individual is a risky proposition. Lending to an aggregate is a little more certain. And so being able to quantify the risk that you're taking on and to be able to divide it, or, you know, divide that risk up in such a way that you you're able to make sure that you can cover any potential losses. Is sort of the name of the game. So for some cases, it's like it's a no-brainer. It's like, yes, we should be lending. For some cases, it's like, no, this is very clearly fraud. This is clearly somebody who it would be, irresponsible to give them more debt. And then there is kind of this whole middle ground of, we don't really know. And computers are getting better at that. I mean, we're in the age of big data and, all sorts of weirdness in terms of trying to come up with predicted or forecasting predicted values and such. But the fact of the matter is that the human touch sometimes helps. You can build some context in terms of where you would see things that might be giving the computer pause, but you as an individual know is not actually that big of a deal. So that was sort of the thing I did for a while. But I did have, when I went to school, I tried to reduce my hours, and that involved transferring to just work in a call center, so like doing customer service. One of the things that was nice was that they were trying to enable more of the frontline agents to do things like credit limit increases, like just generally reduce the number of conversations. So I think that's why I was probably slightly better suited for customer service than my temperament might suggest. You do have a certain sympathy for people who are like, I had the money, I would have paid this thing if I'd known. Like, are you really gonna soak me for the interest? To which the answer is often yes. But it depends, and one of the really big it depends is how nice you are to the agent on the phone. Oh, God. This is what I'm talking about hitting the diminishing returns. So, take a minute to sort of reset, get the health back. If I like lose it on Hornet, that's like that's definitely the time to... Oh my God. Well, at least I got to hear the trumpet. I mean, she could have ended it right there by just walking into me. Anyways, it's not over. As long as I can get my health back, like, it's I'm so reckless on all this stuff. Like, if I just waited for one hit, I would have had a free heal. But I didn't. I panicked. Okay. Refocus. Oh! Cool. That was a little bit of a risk because her charge is... I often misjudged the distance of her... Oh, I hate that. The thread is that is the one that I've never really been able to get. You'll notice, like, when I play, I always just give that thing a wide berth. God, why the hell was I talking about credit cards? That doesn't matter. Oh right, no, yeah, the bank notification. Like, I definitely have a lot of sympathy. I don't really think... I mean, again, your bank might be different, but I don't really think banks go out of their way to, like, misinform you about when payments are due. Because frankly, banks need to, like, they have their own obligations that they need to meet, right? Like, the bank is not solvent if it can't pay its obligations, and the way it pays its obligations is with the money that's coming in, or the money that's being paid back. But I mean, let's face it, a lot of credit card balances are not the sort of thing that's going to decide the solvency of it. Okay, a lot of credit card balances, as in the total number of credit card balances, might, but the my credit card balance is not going to decide the fate of my financial institution. So, I don't know, like, I definitely had sympathy for people who clearly had means to pay, and, for whatever reason, the notifications weren't there. I mean, there is also a responsibility thing, right? Like, you sort of want to pay. Oh, God. I'm trying not to make this diminishing returns thing be a self-fulfilling prophecy, but I'm getting really careless on these. Anyways, I do like the fact that that this loan is actually bothering to, give me a notification. I normally don't have this kind of trouble. Okay. I think he goes underground long enough that I can get away with a heal, at least in the early stages. So I'll try and be a little more aggressive this time. I think if anything else, just changing up what I've been doing will try and shake me out of the gloom I've been in. Also, so I gotta properly sit down and think about this, but the idea of using the so many careless mistakes that are costing me. So one of those attacks, I think just because right now I'm operating on the assumption that they do more damage. So here you should be moving a lot more aggressively. Yeah, no, he definitely is. Okay, so if you somehow can interrupt the cry, it makes your life a lot easier. I was gonna try and heal, but well, maybe I can try. But yeah, so when he's on his back, I figure just because it does so much more damage, it makes the most sense to hit him there, because it's, I just think doing the maximum amount when they're vulnerable is right. Also, if you're not using it for healing, you obviously, you want to reset that counter. Every time I hit somebody with a full soul bar is damage I'm sort of keeping on the table. But it's also a very finite resource in this level, so. Okay, if I can avoid healing on this one, I think I will have just a much better time overall. I really should work out damage equivalents though, so like the amount of damage that my nail does relative to the Hadouken. I think that's going to make all the difference. Because, like, so I put it to you this way, like, if I can express a if I can express my magic in terms of the number of nail hits it does. So if it's 2, you know, if I'm really close to the enemy, chances are I'm going to be able to accomplish that by just being close. Like, I don't need to... Oops. I don't need to use the magic for that, except maybe to pass distance. If I can express as it's 3, though, there's very few opportunities where I can get 3 clean nail hits on an enemy, especially an enemy like this. And so as a consequence, the magic becomes quite a bit more attractive. And it doesn't seem like much, but obviously so many of my problems have come from positioning. Not being in the right spot, and sort of knowing what I'm giving up in order to achieve certain outcomes will just be a way I can start doing these fights a little more efficiently. Alright, that was stupid of me, but... Again, I'm not as aggressive as I was in earlier. Ooh. I don't normally see him do that. Oh wow, he did hit me on the first try on that one. That completely changes my understanding of this fight then. Maybe it's a distance thing then. Oh wow, what was that? Oof. Okay. I'm starting to lose it, so I'll just, I'll go back to being a little safer. Oh, God. Okay, so I'm out of the danger zone. I got my next heal. Alright, well, I don't know if I could have predicted that, so... That was way too close. Oh, Jesus. I hate it when I'm down 2. Especially because usually when I'm down 2, it's because of a really simple mistake that I made that under any other circumstance I would have been able to handle. Okay. My turns betrayed me there again. Oh, God damn it! I wanted to get a... Oh, Jesus. Again, this sort of carelessness is going to be what costs me in the Nail Master. So the problem is I don't have a very good idea of where I am in this fight right now, how many more hits it's going to take. In an ideal situation, I would just keep doing standard attacks in prep for having a full soul vessel for the Nail Master. But obviously, the fact that I'm extending this fight means I'm more likely to have those careless hits. Okay, I mean, it's split. I'm going to be able to get one early hit on the Nail Master. I do need to get a little more disciplined in how I handle his sort of main attacks. Let's see how this one goes.
Yes,
The range on that thing is just devastating. Okay. So, like, parries are definitely the best way to handle him, but that's a pretty heroic assumption that I'm going to be able to get away with a parry. So that's like perfect healing time. Just, I didn't need to heal, so. I am lucky that he doesn't do 2 damage on his attacks like that. I'm screwed. Ah, god damn it. That was worth trying. Okay, that cost me all the souls and the health, so I gotta be very cautious. Nope. Okay, that was at the start ready to go, but I think I'm back into my same set of mistakes. So I think I'm going to be approaching this a lot more sensibly when I... I think the first few next week are going to be pretty rough. I have a feeling that I'll probably struggle on the Malwick again. But I think after I get sort of my first set of bad encounters out of the way, I am well within the capabilities of beating the Nailmaster. But I think just it's kind of clear that I've been running out of steam. My sentences have been a little disjointed. I've sort of lost the plot, and I like, to be honest, I could probably grind this out for a few more hours and I might get the win. But I think it's probably better for my overall well-being, as well as probably a little bit more entertaining, if I just come in, approach it with confidence, and, you know, then we can just go back to YouTube, delete the videos, and say that this was my first attempt on God Home. But thank you everybody for watching. Again, I've been really enjoying Hollow Knight. You know, it was someone who was kind of pushing me to play it. You know, it'd be nice. You know, there's definitely some people who I like having in watching the game, and that doesn't always come through. But even just being able to share this with you, and particularly just being able to share the experience of learning. I really do enjoy the process of just sort of figuring things out, and particularly this moment here where I have, I think, a fairly clear idea in my head about how to approach this. But you know, it's like there's the theory and the practice. You know, I might have it in my head, but I'm clearly not delivering it in terms of my my performance. At some point, the biggest minor thing I need to deal with right now is the vessel fragments, and then so it looks like there's one more vessel fragment for me to pick up, and then I will admit the charms I think are going to be where I really struggle. You know, the bestiary, I kind of feel like I might be able to get a handle on. It's not really something that I've put too much thought in, but I have a feeling that it's hard to find a few enemies in a game this big. But I think there's to me, there's a systematic way to approach going through areas you've already been, encountering things that you've already experienced, and you know, do what you can to you know, just eliminate possibilities. Like, in the worst case, I sort of feel like I have a brute force solution to finding the remaining enemies. It is much less clear to me where those charms might be hiding, or where the remaining vessel fragment is, and I suspect that that's going to unlock quite a bit of the remaining percentage. I also suspect probably one of those charms is hidden behind an enemy that I haven't seen yet. Anyways, all of that for another time. Just as a heads up in terms of plans for the stream, this weekend I need to record some more videos for YouTube, but Monday should be... Oh, actually, Monday might be a small change-up. So normally I do Phantom Brigade. It is possible I might need to switch around the schedule for that, though. So... TBD, but it will almost certainly be a strategy game on Monday, I think. Wednesday is the local game developer meetup. I'll probably be hosting that, so if you stop by at the usual time, or actually I guess it's an hour later than the usual time. If you stop by the channel, I will likely be hosting that. You get to see some of the cool stuff going on here. Ottawa doesn't have a huge game development scene, but there are a few people who worked on Cuphead who've worked here. A lot of really interesting small games. Keep Talking and Nobody Explodes is another example of something that's come out of Ottawa. But more importantly, whether or not it's something that you've heard of before, it's something that I think is worth supporting, and it's something that has definitely resulted in me meeting some people who are very interesting, which is enriching for myself, but also some games that have been worth sharing on the stream. And then probably next week I'll be doing Hollow Knight. I'll try and do it a little bit closer to the usual start time. But do keep in mind, because I have really been enjoying the Brace Yourself games, and because Wednesday is going to be off the books, I might be just shifting things around a little bit to just to make sure that the I want to try and do my best with keys that I've been given for promotional purposes. Finally, I forgot to mention, if you do like the pre-recorded stuff,
and if you like Dunmore Voices, the continued stories of Caius will be happening on Tuesday at 7 o'clock.
High quality video for that will be on YouTube at 7, and the vodcast is not the best quality. I'll be the first to admit. Twitch has some pretty strict standards in terms of what your bit rates can be, especially for vodcasts. But if you like participating in the chat, I usually hang out for that. Anyways, this is a really long goodbye. Thank you again for hanging out, particularly when I start talking about price index theory. If it's boring, just let me know and I'll come up with something different. But let's find somebody to host. Ah, wonderful. Okay. A very good friend of mine is playing Apex Legends. You say, why would I go from this wonderful independent game to... That didn't work. Brain on the Rocks, no. So, why would I go from this wonderful independent game, Hollow Knight, to, Apex Legends? And the answer to this is because Brian is a game designer on Apex Legends. And he's been doing a really good job. I don't know if it's specifically for public outreach, but Brian deals with my nonsense very well. And particularly in such a way that he will answer questions that might even be ones that you would consider offensive for developers. So it's like, why don't you guys fix the servers? He will have an answer for that, and a good one. I think Brian does a really good job of showing just all of the interesting people that work in the games industry. He's a Canadian developer. Apex Legends is now done in Vancouver. He's somebody who, I quite like as a person, in addition to somebody who I think is doing a very good job on Twitch. And it's not always a chance that you get to see a developer play their own game and speak very frankly about what's going into it and why the game is what it is. So I hope those of you that come along enjoy it. I know Apex Legends is a bit of a change of pace, but he's definitely somebody who's worth watching. So until next time, have a good evening, and enjoy Apex.